Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the United Stand. First off, I want to say thank you for tuning in. And this is the first fan forum of the new Premier League season. Now, obviously, I don't think I need to ask how we're all feeling, guys, but I'm going to do it anyway after watching that. How are we feeling, Jay?
To be honest with you, Charlie, I'm not at all surprised. Jordan and I signed off on the last therapy stand back in May. And I've got my notes here for May. And I said back in May, no team in Europe is afraid of our midfield. So for me, Charlie, normal service has been resumed. We've got the football equivalent of David Brent playing centre half. Can't communicate, can't lead. And yeah, it is what it is. It's what I expected. I know a lot of the fans in the off season got drunk on the emotion of winning a few friendlies and Martial getting a couple of tap-ins and Rashford actually manning up, but it's what I expected. We are what we are, and Ralph hit the nail on the head. He said we need 10 players. We've gotten 3, and to quote my countryman Roy Morris Keane, leopards don't change their spots. And after this performance, nothing has changed.
Jordan, how are you feeling after that performance?
Yeah, not as, first of all, great to be back. Missed everybody in the comments. Nice to meet you, Charlie, for the first time. It just seems, like Jay said, normal business has resumed. Seems like we've had a bit of a summer sabbatical and we just carried on. The summer was a false sense of security that I personally wasn't buying into. I'm not surprised. I am shocked that I thought we would nick a win today, but ultimately our team's been found out how to play against us, and it continues. If you've got an average car that's been in a car crash, that's been wrote off, you change the windscreen wipers, you give it an air freshener, you put Lewis Hamilton behind the wheel, you still got a car that's a write-off, and that's our team.
Yeah, and that's the thing from my point of view is it's not just the result, right? Like, you can lose a game and play half decent football but for the majority, I'd say a good till Ronaldo came on. Really, I thought we were very lackluster, and I'm not sure what you guys want to put your two cents in, but yeah, I don't think we look prepared and ready for the season at all. Obviously, everyone can kind of say how good pre-season was when we're beating Liverpool 4-0 and stuff, but it's almost a rude awakening, right, Jay?
Well, for me, it wasn't a rude awakening because the midfield is exactly as it was. I'm still scratching my head to see to ascertain how the hell did Scott McSideways manage to stay in the pitch today for 79 minutes. He's the worst player on the pitch. I doubt if a top tier championship side would start Scott. I know a lot of the fans of a couple of years bought into the whole passion thing and whatnot, but today I think he was looking to stay in the pitch. He was booked. I think he could have been sent off. If you just take Scott McTominay as an example, he's like a microcosm of everything that's wrong with that team right now. For me, the first goal came from him losing possession, and I don't know about you guys, but Danny Welbeck today, again, 2 seasons in a row, was given the freedom of Manchester. Danny Welbeck today didn't fear Harry Maguire. We're not going to go in hard on Martinez. It's his home debut. It is what it is. But today, guys, we made Welbeck look like prime Zlatan today. I wasn't surprised, but I did expect more. But after the first 45 minutes, it wasn't happening. And I did honestly think, okay, at halftime, Ten Hag is going to rationalize, put on at least three changes. I thought Ronaldo would start second half. He's sitting there getting changed literally after 5 minutes. Surely Ronaldo should be warmed up and ready to go and start the second half, not sitting on the bench and then bring him on. Like you said there, Charlie, you'd love to have been a fly in the wall in the dressing room. Wouldn't we all? Because, we didn't see much of a change in the second half. Like, the only highlight that I can pick out of that game was Eriksen. I think as the season goes on, I think Eriksen is going to be one of the very few highlights that we're going to have to discuss. I thought he was a solid out of 10 today for me.
Yeah, and I think... Sorry, John. But I think Alex has sent in a super chat just saying new season, but same old rubbish. Never want to see McFred in midfield again. Worst midfield in the league. and people wonder why CR7 wants to go. There's a lot of people pointing that out in the comments, saying the fact of, pointing out how bad our midfield was. And I just want to I think someone put up some stats on Twitter of McTominay's kind of performance. And I think he had, in the first half, 16 touches, 12 passes. He lost possession 7 times, gave away 2 fouls, and received the yellow card. And I think, and this is meant to be, the guy in midfield, right? You have 2 people, or we have 2 people in midfield, and he's obviously meant to be kind of one of those pivot players. And you think everything should run through this guy, and he's getting 16 touches in 45 minutes. And you can probably almost compare that to any other midfield performance in that league, and I guarantee everyone will walk over that.
Do you know what, Charlie, is that this probably is the best thing that could have happened on the first game of the season with the transfer window still open. Ten Hag would have learned more today about his team, about his players, and about those characters than he would have in the entire preseason and the time that he's been manager. He walked out with a bit of a swagger onto that pitch, full house, everyone clapping on. By halftime, it would have been a real rude awakening as to how big the job is ahead of him. It's very easy to play against teams pre-season and they're only playing sort of 60, 70% of their capacity due to fitness and whatnot, and no pressure with real fans in the ground, and they're not showpiece events. Now, reality has really kicked in. And, Brighton, a well-coached, well-put-together team, but they're not a great side. There's much better teams than them in the Premier League. And if you're struggling on game 1 of the season, full energy tanks, full house, full optimism, to break a team like that down, then it's going to be a long, long season ahead. And I only hope that with the Glazers in the stadium, they've looked at it, they could sense the mood, that things are now done behind the scenes for us to go out and close these deals and try and turn this season around. I honestly feel at this point, game week 1, it's already too late and we're going to have a tough season. But there's still a chance that in these next 3 weeks, we can bring some bodies in and strengthen this squad. Because the fact is looking at that team today, looking at that bench, we actually have a worse team than we did last season. And last season was terrible. So you can't even imagine what's ahead of us going forward now. Yeah,
you mentioned Erik ten Hag there. Obviously, he's going to be. He'll know obviously what he's going into the season with, but there's a super chat here as well from Midge36 saying today is on Erik ten Hag. He's picking the same garbage as his unsuccessful predecessors. So who else can we blame when he had better options on the bench? He picked that team, no one else. What do you guys have to say about that?
All I can think is that the likes of Scott McTominay and Fred in training, they must be like Iniesta and Busquets, because they don't do it on undefeated play in a competitive. And as we already pointed out, a lot of fans did get gassed on the preseason performances. Whereas preseason games don't mean anything. As Jordan pointed out today, in the eye of Old Trafford, first game of the season, Ten Hag walks out with all the swagger of the new boss. Like, I got this. I think today, that 90 minutes, he would have learned more in that 90 minutes than he could have had learned on 6 weeks of preseason. And now there's 3 weeks now to go in and sign at least 2 players, a backup striker and another midfielder, and preferably another centre back. But what had happened, you said there about Averang being in the crowd today. That was the 3rd time he'd been in Old Trafford in 3 seasons. So if we are going to see a change, we got 3 weeks to do it. Otherwise, we're going to sit here for the next 37 weeks hosting umpteen therapy stands.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'd say about that as well is that, if Rangnick had stayed, a lot of this process would have been accelerated because he knew about certain characters and what you were going to get out of them. We're still having a feeling out process from a new manager. And the problem is that pre-season would have given him a false sense of security. But these games come thick and fast. And, we've said this before in other leagues. There's easy games. You go down the table and your mid-tables and lower league table clubs, you can walk over them. There's no easy games and there's no easy 3 points in this league. And he is going to get found out. I don't understand a lot of the decisions he made today. I'll be completely honest with you. For me, you sign Malacia. Malacia should have started. The decision to start Maguire and keep him as captain, again, that is putting his own head on the block. And I know he's a new manager, and I'm not saying that we're not going to back him, but ultimately he has to see that every single team in the league know how to play against Harry Maguire. Ball over the top, quick striker, onto it. Harry Maguire's turning in cement, and he just doesn't know what's happening. And if he keeps making that decision, by Christmas, he could be in a spot of bother. Varane sat on the bench, he should be starting. Shaw just doesn't look up to it. Malasey is there, that's a sign, and we should be starting him. The decision to make a triple substitution in the 89th minute, I'm completely missing it. I don't understand why there wasn't a decision made earlier to bring no subs on. We've got five subs as an option. Why wait so late to try and make a change, guys? I really don't understand it.
Yes, it's one of the notes I've actually got written down here is the 3 subs in the 89th minute. Like, I don't actually understand what that's about. That should be, if anything, what Brighton were doing, trying to hold on to their lead and, wasting time. Whereas we've almost got that, we had that momentum at that point and then just kind of put on these subs. And I think I was watching the stream of Mark as well, and he put it quite perfectly, in my opinion, where he said it was just like giving someone a couple of minutes in a preseason friendly. That's kind of what it seemed like, right? And again, Louis HB, who's been a member for 24 months, thank you, by the way, has said, if the manager is not backed in the transfer market, how can we complain about McFred? Change needs to start higher for it to filter down. What do you have to say about that?
I think that's great super chat there. A change has to happen from above. Ironically, the previous manager, I felt he was actually backed in the transfer market. He got his targets. Ralph Radnick stated back in January that we needed to sign a CDM. It didn't happen. Obviously, Ralph gave his recommendations to the board. It fell on deaf ears, and he was ousted. I think the Glazers, they don't want to hear the home truths. They have their business model, and it is to finish top 4, keep the fans relatively happy. But the protest today was the otherwise. But the model of the finish top 4 and just keep the dividends coming in, that's all they're interested in. They don't care about us actually being a football club. We're not run as a football club. And my assertion is, it's not even run as a good business. We can't even sell players. Like we now have Henderson out on loan because he's on too big of wages. Ketta's out on loan. What we've sold so far, we've sold Brandon Williams and Pereira. We cannot sell players. Pogba goes twice on a free. So we get these players in. Recruitment is poor. You said from the top. So recruitment is poor. Players come in, they're overpaid. They put in long-term contracts. We can't move them on. And the cycle, Charlie and Jordan, continues and continues year after year after year. I said on a couple of shows that I felt that the previous manager set us back at least 5 years. So Ten Hag has got to be backed by us, the fan base. We have to back him. But will the board back him over the next 3 years? Because otherwise, guys, we are on a hiding to nothing.
Well, I'll tell you what's an interesting one is if this talk of that he's waiting for De Jong or nothing, it has to be De Jong. I think he would be sat there now and thinking, actually, if De Jong doesn't come, we have got to put someone else into that midfield. If he makes the decision, I know Mark said it last season about, if Ollie starts with McFred, he'll end up losing his job. I'm not going to say to that extreme, but ultimately, if he makes the decision now to not bring somebody into that midfield, to strengthen that midfield, and it is going to be on the new manager's head, because even after one game, he's got to be able to sit back and just see that they ain't good enough.
I think that is ultimately right. Like surely after even just that one game, that one competitive fixture where you're actually fighting for something, he can look at that and think, yeah, like, in my opinion, the midfield just wasn't good enough for the whole 90 minutes. As much as, Fred made a few occasional poor passes. I didn't think he wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought he was a lot better than McTominay, but it's easier to, be a lot better than total utter rubbish. But like, I just thought it was non-existent the whole time. There was no, even if, you've got Eriksen playing in the false 9 and he's having to drop deep just to receive the ball. There's no like progressiveness from the midfield. There's no urgency to receive the ball on the half turn and spread it out wide. Again, I think I could kind of go on all day about what I think about the team and the thoughts of even Rashford when he got the ball. First 10 minutes, he looked like he was going to have a good game, but then every other time he got the ball, it was just like he just stood still, didn't almost know what to do with it, and passed it backwards. There's endless things, but let's talk about McTominay, right? Like as I discussed the stats that I said, and obviously, what do you make of Ten Hag's decision in bringing Fred off for Ronaldo instead of McTominay when he was on a yellow card as well?
I know he said back the manager, and I will back the manager. I'm not going to throw this manager under the bus after just one 90-minute performance. I know probably now right on Twitter, there's fans losing their lives, and already there's probably an anti-Ten Hag sentiment happening already on social media. I'm not there for that. But Charlie, I did question that decision. Surely, from what I was looking, Scott McTominay should have come off at halftime. I think any manager, even at local league level, you have a player that has been ineffective in the first half. He's on a yellow. He's clumsy. He's the kind of player that could get sent off. I have Garner, who looked decent in pre-season. I have Ronaldo chomping a bit to come on, but yet I take off Fred, who is ironically the better of the two. I know Fred is a limited player, but at least with Fred, you know what you're going to get. Like Fred had that shot on the 34th minute. I think they're just trying to find a ball in the car park. So we have to back the manager, but there is question marks today on taking off Fred, leaving on Scott for almost 18 minutes, and then bringing on those young lads, as Jordan said a minute to go, 5 minutes injury time, as if it's come on a preseason friendly. The time to do it was 20 minutes to go. The game is in a balance. Surely the likes of Garnacho and Malacia offered more than Luke Shaw and McTominay with 20 minutes to go. Surely logic would dictate that. But look, he's the manager. It's his choice. And today, for me, there was poor decision today for me.
Yeah. It was some really poor decisions.
Yeah, and I think he'll have to answer to those to a certain extent, right? Like a lot of people will be kind of questioning, and I think the camera panned to Fred when he was sat on the bench, right, and he looked almost baffled himself. Like it was almost too obvious of a decision that you bring McTominay off, and even when he started the second half, and he started even trying to do flicks and little like cute passes, and it's like, you're a 6'4" centre midfielder that's just meant to like almost, he's just known for like kicking people in the air, and arguably could have been probably sent off for that challenge, right, on Caicedo. I think like it wasn't a great tackle, and I think we've got a few super chats as well of the biggest thing that sums these jokers of players is that Ronaldo, who wants to leave, is showing more passion than the other players who are comfortable. Could Fred work better with Garner or Donny next to him? That would be an interesting topic to talk about. The biggest, we said that one. I believe in Ten Hag, but at the moment he doubled down on Maguire. The moment he doubled down on Maguire is when I realised it will take him a season to appreciate the reality of this squad, playing McFred, keeping Maguire as captain, etc. I actually want to take it back to the point from Darren, actually, where he's saying, could Fred work better with Garner or Donny? And I actually put out a tweet earlier on. Well, I actually think with the current set of players that we have, I think Fred could actually be quite an important player for us, but depending on who you necessarily partner him with or bring in to play with him, I think he can play a good role, although being kind of limited. I think what he can do it well. It's just he can't do a lot of things. He's just very much that almost like Jack Russell type player, I think, where he just likes to run and break down play. He's not the good passer. It's almost like he can play a 25-yard pass, but not a simple 5-yard bounce pass. And obviously, I want to get your guys' takes. What if you think Fred could be partnered with someone else to almost bring something else better out of him, Jordan?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just sound like a broken record because we've said this for the last 2 seasons. There is not one aspect of Scott McTominay's game that I rate. Not one single aspect. I do not think he's good at any aspect of football. I'm sorry, but I just don't. the fact that he's come through the academy is the only thing that he's got going for him. And the sooner managers at that club realise it and make a decision on his future, the better. With Fred, I think over the course of a season, there are games he can come in and have an impact on. But do I think that we can achieve anything with him starting 40, 50 games a season? Ultimately, I don't. But I haven't completely wrote him off. I think with the right partner alongside him, we can definitely see something out of him. You have to have players like that in the squad across the season. But what we're doing is we're relying on mediocre players constantly, season after season, and we expect to get different results. Like, we've got a new manager. He's not a miracle worker. We're still going to have the same things. It happened with Ragnick. We thought Ragnick would come in and things would change. It doesn't change. We as fans know what these players are about. We know what they're going to give. We know what we're going to get out of them. And unless 4 or 5 new bodies come into that team, a new spine, then it's just going to be the same. Like, I just can't believe game week 1, I'm sat here and I've got the same emotion that I've had for the last 12, 18 months. I thought over the summer, like, player by player would come in and we'd be sat here, 3 points, we'd all be laughing and joking, have a bit of banter. I feel dreadful again. Like, it's a horrible feeling.
But
yeah,
Jordan,
it feels. Sorry,
isn't that why we called this 2 seasons ago the therapy stand, and here we are again. It is therapy for you, for I, for Charlie, and everybody watching. But back to the point about Fred, like, Fred plays beside Casemiro for Brazil, and Fred looks, I won't say decent, but he's a water carrier. You know what you're going to get. He's there to literally break down play and play a simple pass. He's a water carrier. No more, no less. Our problem is we have Fred in that midfield with a player who's even a worse water carrier than Fred is. So Fred is going to look absolutely terrible. We've all acknowledged that Fred is a limited player, but I'd pick him over Scott every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And to the super chat, like, yeah, we'd all love to see Fred start beside Donny van de Beek. But if we're accepting Fred to start beside Donny van de Beek and Bruno or Eriksen as a 10, is that not us, the fan base, letting the Glazers off the hook again and not reinforcing that position?
I think the fact that we've known that we've needed a midfielder for, I couldn't even tell you how many years. The fact that we've known we needed one screams. You know, I thought this year would finally be the year. Admittedly, going into kind of the transfer window, I didn't think, you know, and I'd say 99% of people wouldn't say we were going to be linked with Frankie de Jong, right? And obviously, we're going to see how that's kind of panning out with, you know, what looks like in the next kind of 2 to 3 weeks, even though it's been going on since like May, right? I think the team just screams someone to, not necessarily because, you know, we're not playing with a defensive midfielder like, you know, we used to do with Ollie and Jose, the Matic type player that sits in between the 2 centre halves and stuff. But we need that midfielder that can link up play with the centre backs and has so much composure under pressure, can turn, half turn, and is just literally, I honestly think we might have, if you put McFred together, I genuinely think they might be probably bottom 3 combined midfielders in the Premier League.
If that,
I think that's generous.
Yeah, like if you're asking Ten Hag to all of a sudden in the space of one off season turn a player in McTominay, who I don't believe should be at the club. I agree with Jordan. He's there because he came through youth system. Mixed with a limited Fred to over an off season turn them into, as I pointed out, a Xavi and Busquets. That's the coaching equivalent of walking on water. There's no coach in world football that can turn those two into a functional midfield. I don't believe it can happen.
Yeah, I think what's going to end up happening is, because it was clear in the first sort of 20, 25 minutes where you can see what Ten Hag wants the team to achieve and wants them, like the vision of how he wants them to play. But you can clearly see that the ability in these players is not going to allow him to achieve that vision. And this is exactly what happened with a previous manager when Rangnick came in, there was a certain way he wanted that squad to play. They don't have the ability, and unless bodies are brought in that are capable of playing the vision, he's going to end up having to revert to type and with a double pivot of McTominay and Fred, and that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, and it's obviously not what we want to see, right? But the one, I guess, positive was that the fact when Ronaldo did come on, he, in my opinion, I thought as soon as he came on, there was that presence, right? He wasn't afraid to run in behind, and I thought until before he came on, we looked very scared to cross the ball or to any sort of delivery into the box. There was no out ball, and when you've got Christian Eriksen playing as a false nine, obviously you've got to, I guess, play to his his best attributes, and that is kind of linking up play. And he's not that guy who's going to get in behind. He's not going to win headers. But when you bring on, Ronaldo, who's not afraid to run at defenders, get in behind, and he's that presence in the box that Dunk has got to worry about with headers. I thought it obviously got a lot better, and it's obviously a big thing that we need to keep him, right? I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts are on that, but I think that's the only positive. Is do you think that not necessarily that he even came on and played really well, but just the effect that we got a goal and stuff.
Charlie, I think to reply to that, I think you make a good point. I think the difference is that Ronaldo goes onto the pitch and there's an instant fear from the opposition of there's a respect that they know what he's capable of. But do those players have the same respect when they look at Harry Maguire, when they look at Scott McTominay, when they look at Fred, when they look at Rashford? They don't have that same fear factor. They know when Ronaldo's on the pitch, something can happen. Danny Welbeck showed Harry Maguire no respect. He played on his shoulder and spun him into existence. You could clearly see what was going to happen before it happened. That was their route to winning. And every team knows it. They know how to play against us, and nothing's changed. Ronaldo comes onto the pitch straight away. That back four is like, there's somebody on this pitch that we have to respect here.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it was Carragher who said it actually before Ronaldo came on. And I think he said something like, it looks like Man United could do with Danny Welbeck going back there. Like he did. He just kept on. They knew how to play to his strengths. And admittedly, when he was starting up front, I thought, we should be able to handle this guy. But yet again, like he proved me wrong, and I'm sure he proved a lot of other people wrong, right, Jay?
Yeah, you both uses the same word there, respect. Welbeck, we saw last season when he came against Maguire and Lindelof, absolutely no respect whatsoever for Maguire, because he knows all I've got to do, I'll run at him, I'll have him on toast. He's done 2 years in a row. And there was a phase of play in the 47th minute where Welbeck is on the ball, I think on the right wing. And McTominay is doing his usual stutter step. You know how it's like basketball, how you're under the backboards and you need one player to go and get his face into the point guard and put a hand there. And Scott is there doing a stutter step, standing there, literally skipping. And then Welbeck runs down, puts in an easy cross, and luckily for us, the header went wide. So yeah, it goes back to the word you guys used, respect. The only player on that pitch today, apart from Eriksen, that those Brighton players and their manager would have respected was obviously Ronaldo. And I've made my thoughts on Ronaldo very, very clear on social media. You should come on at half time, no question. You bring him on at half time. And players like Dunk are going to think, okay, hang on now, we have to raise our game. The goat's on the pitch. We're not going to be as foolhardy and flamboyant in our play. And you could see then once Eriksen came out of that false nine, he was knocking balls into the box. He was looking for Rashford. He was looking for Ronaldo. And our whole dynamic of forward play changed once Ronaldo went in that pitch.
Yeah.
But yet, as you guys know, over the last couple of weeks, you've had a large portion of our so-called fan base slate Ronaldo, slagging him off. This is the same Cristiano Ronaldo that I think it was a week after his son passed away. He was back playing. So all you people that inflate Ronaldo, sit down and show some respect, because you're not going to know what you've missed as that man is gone.
Yeah, I am gonna spread it around a little bit and talk about Bruno and Rashford. I thought Bruno was really, really poor today. Didn't influence the game at all. Chances he had, didn't take them. Lots of straight passes. I don't know what's happened to him over the last sort of 12 months.
Do you think, because I actually wrote down as well that I thought Bruno didn't have the best of games, but do you think, obviously there was last season, he's very much that type of character that likes to do all these outlandish passes and stuff, and do you think that Ten Hag has tried to obviously rein that in, but with reining that in, he can almost seem like he's gone missing at times, just even if he does make that misplaced pass, but he has kicked it 50 yards, but you're seeing that rather than if you just don't see anything at all, it almost looks like he goes a bit missing. Because I do agree with you that I don't think he played very well at all.
Yeah, I just think when Eriksen had an influence on my game, touches, the set pieces and whatnot. Like I was looking to Eriksen to make something happen, and when he dropped back, like Jay said, he had seen him spraying passes across the pitch to Ronaldo and to different people. You could see the influence. Bruno has just gone missing, and I know he wasn't coached under Ollie, and no one really was, but he was still able to make something out of nothing, and just those moments of magic have just disappeared out of his game. And I don't know. I don't know if it's a confidence issue, and if he needs somebody to put their arm around him and big him up and tell him he's the best to do it. But he's just gone. He's just the shadow of the guy he was.
Yeah, look, guys, we've all been lauding Bruno for the last 2 seasons, and rightly so. But the question that we asked, I think, Jordan, to latter in the last season, we posed the question on a show I can recall, and we used the phrase, "Can Bruno be a cog in the Ten Hag wheel?" Because Ten Hag it plays to his philosophy, his system, whereas on Solskjaer, it was counter-attacking football, and he could play. If Bruno played 4 or 5 Hollywood balls over the course of a game, usually 1 or 2 of those Hollywood balls came off, and he was in for an assist or an interchange of play with Rashford when Rashford was actually playing well. But now he's got to be a cog on the wheel, and I think, look, we're not going to slate him. It's 90 minutes. But today, when we needed a player to look to, it wasn't Bruno that was put in the strings. It actually was Eriksen. So I think if it continues, Bruno is in danger of losing his position number 10 for Eriksen.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. Obviously, Eriksen put in some pretty good crosses. Obviously, I think Rashford obviously missed a chance off of an Eriksen cross, and having that ability, when Ronaldo's on the pitch as well, like with Eriksen being able to put in these deliveries, it's obviously second to none, the deliveries he can put in. I think he did put in a poor free kick at one point, but each to their own, right? But I think we've got another super chat from Stephen. Actually, best case scenario, we finish 6th, but likely 8th, 9th. What are your thoughts on this? That's actually interesting. That's something I wanted to actually to point out where you guys actually. I guess it obviously is very, very difficult to base off of just a 90-minute match. But what are your thoughts for the rest of the season and where you think this team is going to finish?
I've got to stick to my prediction that I said last week. I said we'll finish somewhere between 5th and 8th. And I can see Ten Hag come March doing what Mourinho did, put all his eggs into Europa League basket. And I'd love if we ended up in Europa League final against Roma. That's my dream final. I'd love to have that to happen. But as in top 4, we're not getting top 4.
Jordan, yeah, do you agree?
Who in their right mind is having a conversation about us finishing the top 4? I want to talk to that person. Like that's madness. No chance. I think 6 to 8, judging by the transfer windows other teams have had that were in and around us, and the players who have left our team that we haven't replaced. However, what I would say is 3 weeks left of the transfer window. if we somehow manage to bring in 3 or 4 players, which I know is madness, even me saying it out loud, then maybe we can sort of turn this season around. But as it stands now, 6 to 8.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I was pretty optimistic going into the season before this game, and was saying 5th or 6th. But yeah, I think after, if we don't sign anyone else and stuff, I think it's looking pretty likely that it's going to be anywhere as probably low as. I mean, you could even argue. Some people are saying like even you'd be lucky to finish as low as 9th and 10th, right? But obviously with that game, losing 2-1 to Brighton when you've got Liverpool in 2 weeks' time. What do you guys think about that? Obviously, it's a huge game, first big derby day of the season, and yeah, if we play like that against Liverpool, right, it's going to be another hefty 4 or 5-0 defeat, don't you think, Jay?
Charlie, forget Liverpool. Brentford are going to slap us next weekend.
Charlie.
We're getting slapped by Brentford next weekend, mate.
I hope
not. Someone in Super Chat will know. Last season, did we concede a grand total of 9 goals against Liverpool? Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Oh, right. So anything less than that is a bonus. Yeah. Afterwards, saw Liverpool yesterday. Opening with a 2-2 draw. Against a very informed Fulham. Liverpool are going to rock up and they're going to smash Crystal Palace. They dropped 3 points to City, so that they're going to come at us with everything they've got. I felt last season at halftime, Liverpool took the foot off the gas, that they could have absolutely hockeyed us. So yeah, obviously, I'm very, very worried. If I see Maguire, Fred, and McTominay start against Liverpool, I'm going to say right now, you can clip me up 5-0.
I think you're probably even more than that, right? I don't know about you, Jordan. What your thoughts are? Obviously, you're saying we're going to get slapped up by Brentford, but again, it's strange, right? I think even though we've just deservedly lost 2-1 to Brighton, I still look forward at the Brentford game and think that we're going to win that game. I don't know if that's just sort of delusion. Obviously, we should be winning that game. We're Manchester United, right? But yeah, I'm not sure what you think about it.
Charlie, that level of optimism, that's Beth 2.0. Like I look at Brentford. They've got pacey forwards. Again, another team that are well put together. We were lucky to beat them last season. Remember, the manager come out and made some cocky comments about, we're lucky to get away with it. I just look at that today, Charlie, and we were poor today, mate. We were really, really poor. And, the blueprint on how to beat us is there from last season. Nothing's changed. I think we're going to find it tough, mate, next week.
Yeah, I think there's so many things and not just in the midfield, right? You mentioned Maguire. He's got the turning circle of a flipping bus. It takes him ages to build up any sort of speed, right? And you looking at a Danny Welbeck, who's 31, I think, something like that, and he's the guy who wants a foot race with Maguire, this £80 million defender marquee signing, and it's embarrassing, right? I think I tweeted at halftime. Obviously, we're 2-0 down, but that it is embarrassing, and it's not just the result at that point, but not just the team performance as well, but individual performances. Not even people winning sort of individual battles, and it obviously. And I'm not sure if Ten Hag has kind of taken the stand of just making Maguire captain because he was the captain when he's obviously been appointed. But obviously what Gerrard has recently done is he's come out and obviously changed captain and said he was very keen on making a captain and it being Gerrard's captain. And I don't know. I'm not sure if when it comes to the start of next season that's what Ten Hag will do. I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts are on the captaincy, but obviously, it's a very touchy subject, but I definitely would have been up for giving the captaincy to someone else other than Maguire.
Okay, so we're doing Maguire then, are we? Okay, today he's tossing today with Trossard, who's like probably a foot shorter than him. Harry, Take on someone your size. Take on some my size to see you get on, you tit. Look, we've done Harry Maguire here, Charlie, show after show after show. Like, when you start with the analogies, he's got the turn speed of milk. We've said that he turns like an oil tanker. You can use all the analogies you want. He's 80 million. He's the rock that Solskjaer perished on. That was his captain. I stupidly thought, new manager comes in, and one of the first things he will do is to appoint a new captain. And I thought the only captain in the dressing room is Ronaldo, the GOAT. Lads, show your medals. I'm Ronaldo. I've won it all. Harry, what have you won? Oh, yeah, 4 relegations. Nothing. You're the captain. So I started the show, guys. I said we have the football equivalent of David Brent as captain. So do you think for a second Maguire is going to give a rousing speech at halftime when you're losing at home? First game of the season to Brighton. He's going to rouse your troops. Easy hell. Jordan and I have flagged Charlie on many shows how Maguire cannot even do a post-match interview. He can't engage with the camera. There's no charisma. There's no communication. And that is your captain. So I would argue here, guys, is it in his contract that he's captain, has to be captain? Because I don't get how a new manager still makes him captain. Like, if you want to come into a club or organization or any business, the first thing you do is you come in and you kick ass, you take names, and you make changes. You're in charge. It's on you. This is how we're going to go. I took over 2 departments in a hotel myself in February, and I've made a raft of changes. And anybody that did not want to get on my ship has left in the story, because the goal is to make it a more successful business model. So you buy into the concept or you leave. But yet we're stuck with Harry Maguire. That's my thought on Maguire, Charlie. I think I might have pulled too many punches there.
You talk about obviously kind of adapting and making changes, and Darren's put in a good point here on Super Chat saying, why did we not see a high line and pressing like we did on the tour? What, I mean, I'd say for the first 10 minutes, we kind of looked at that counter press when, someone lost possession. It was very much, we need to win the ball back. But after a good 10 minutes, when Brighton got a foothold in the game, from what I was seeing, it was pretty much non-existent. I think we did play a little bit of a high line, but when you've got Maguire in the back four, who's probably, and you remember Per Mertesacker on FIFA when he used to have like 32 pace or something. Like, I'm sure Maguire is slower than that, right? Like, he is unbelievably slow. So, and again, Jay and Jordan, you make a good point of teams. We're very, very predictable. When Maguire's there, they know exactly what to do. Stick it straight over his head. The best defenders don't like it at the best of times. So when you've got someone who's very slow, and he will know that other teams know that they need to do that. So that'll be playing on his mind as well. And I think what are your guys' thoughts on kind of where that high line and pressing was today?
It goes back to what I said earlier, that you can see what Ten Hag wants them to do, but their ability won't allow them to do it. So then they will naturally revert to type, because that's what they know. And this is where if Rangnick had stayed and that handover had happened, which should have happened, it would have accelerated everything under Ten Hag, because he would have known where they were. He's now learning about these players and their characters and their capabilities, which is what, Rangnick had done January, February, March. So that decision to not keep him on has just put us on the back foot even further. And the thing is, with just on that Maguire point about captain, if you're going to be slow, at least have an understanding of what's around you. But he is so tunnel vision that he doesn't know what's behind him, what's coming through, nothing. He's got no idea what's going on around him. With Gerrard taking the armband off of Mings, the thing was, focus on your own game. That's what you need to do. Focus on being better yourself. And that's the exact conversation that I wanted Ten Hag to have had with Harry Maguire when he came to the club. Look, we're going to take the pressure off of you. Captaincy is not for everybody, and captaincy at Man United is even harder. So we're going to take that off you, take that pressure, take you out of the limelight, so you don't have to go out and do the press and whatnot, and other players turn to you. Just focus on your own game. And that's the conversation that should have been had, and it hasn't. And again, these are decisions that the manager are going to have to deal with. This thing about one player or no one. I only want my first option. Well, I'm sorry, but you need to sit there now and look at this, look at the squad, look at that midfield, and realize that, you know, bodies have got to come in. And let's be clear, there's some really good central midfielders that have been sold this transfer window while we've sat back and played Connect Four with Barcelona.
Yeah, you're right. And again, I've tweeted many a time about this as well, about these, you know, at what point, and I think I was on a fan forum. It was a good month ago as well now, of talking about the De Jong saga, and kind of, I was even saying then that if it doesn't happen within the next week or two, then that will be it. And it's still going on, right? We're still no closer to kind of anything. Obviously, at the minute, it's looking like he's choosing Chelsea, or there's something kind of that side. But I think today just proves how vital it doesn't, not necessarily him, but just that the right midfielder is, and will getting that right guy, whether it does turn out to be Tielemans or a Ruben Neves or someone, but we need that person who is composed in the midfield. And I honestly think that even if we were to make one signing and it was that midfield, that centre midfield position, you know, as admittedly we need obviously a kind of other areas as well, fullback and up front wing, on the wing and stuff. But I think you will notice a big difference ultimately, in my opinion.
Guys, I couldn't agree with anything you said there. Maguire, it is what it is. I've said it so many times. I feel like I'm like a broken record on Maguire. The De Jong situation, I think I said back in June, it's not going to happen. Here we are with the 80-odd million Barcelona bailout fund. Murta and Arnold go off to Barcelona on a jolly and still come back with a deal not done. We know that De Jong is owed, I think it was 40 million euros worth of wages, if I'm not mistaken. So who pays that? Do Barcelona take that from the transfer and pay him? Does the signing club sign him? So I think if it's going to go anywhere, I do think it'll be Chelsea. And Charlie, you raise a good point there, but Tielemans, he's probably getting for 35 mil. A year left in his contract. Frame proven. Leicester are going nowhere. So if we were told tomorrow morning, right, guys, you're getting Tielemans, I'd happily take that right now.
Yeah, and we've got a super chat here from Stephen. How many points after Brentford, Liverpool, Southampton, Leicester, Arsenal? I think 6 out of 18 points. What are your thoughts? We also got a new member in Armin. Thank you and welcome to the Members Club. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on how many points we see after what would possibly be, if we were to obviously win all the games, 18?
If we get 10 points, I think we're doing quite well, Charlie. I take 10 points right now. Based on what I saw today, I'd take 10 points now.
Yeah, it is the hope that kills you, doesn't it? I was going into this game, put my retro shirt on, got all excited, seeing you guys after it. And 15, 20 minutes in, I was like, oh, God, I just remembered all the pain of being a United fan. After watching that performance today, yeah, if we don't sign anyone else and he keeps starting McFred and Shaw and Rashford, Bruno, I don't think we'll get to double figures.
Jay, I think you made a good point off air, actually, and Jordan alluded to it there. I think it almost feels like we haven't been away, right? It just feels like there's not been a break, right? We've just kind of gone straight into the new season. There's almost been no time for changes in that, and it's just back to what we've been and known for the past year under Ollie and then Ranić, right? Like it's just a shambles.
A phrase that we use very often, Charlie, on the therapy stand is Groundhog Day. And this is a quintessential Groundhog Day. We said off air, I've said to Jordan that I feel like I was on a show last week discussing the exact same problems. Though differential being, we discussed Eriksen and how Eriksen can pull the strings. Apart from that, we are raising the same points that we've been raising for 2 years.
Yeah, and I feel that we'll still be doing the same if we don't kind of make the changes which so many fans are screaming out for. And I want to actually get your thoughts as well on obviously the 5 substitutes that can be used as well. And ultimately it can be very beneficial, right? And it kind of alludes back to what we were saying earlier. The 3 subs that you made in the 89th minute makes probably 0 sense. So I think the 5 subs could be vital for us, providing that we bring in the right players and develop the squad and have the right squad depth. I'm not sure what you think, Jordan.
Yeah, you could have 10 subs, but if your bench is full of jelly bean men, then it's bloody pointless, isn't it? You know, we need strength in depth, so it's irrelevant unless the board back him and we close these deals and we bring bodies in. Then it's pointless, mate. Like I said, we could have 10 subs, but in making that decision in the 89th minute, I don't know. I don't get it. Did he just look at the bench and go, I really don't think they're really going to have much of an impact on the game? Which, if he did think that, then that is concerning, because we were all sat there as fans going, changes need to be made. I think first game of the season, you know, it hurts that we've lost, and you could kind of take it and go, okay, that's fine, but we have to see a reaction against Brentford. If he goes out with the same starting 11 and it's more of the same next week, then the media are going to come hot and heavy for Ten Hag.
Yeah, and it's almost a dangerous type of thing to talk about. I think Ten Hag, as I said earlier in the show, will have a lot to kind of answer to with regards to the subs that he made. But we've obviously mentioned that, you know, Jay mentioned that he thought Eriksen played well, but obviously we can't really comment on Malacia when he came on. He probably, I don't even know if he touched the ball, but I wanted to get your thoughts on what you thought of Martinez's performance. You know, it's obviously very difficult when you know, your defence and you can see 2 goals, but I thought he looked all right. I guess when you pair him with Maguire, I know Jay, you're chomping at the bit to kind of talk about this, so I'll go to you here.
Okay, so Martinez, we're coined the phrase here, Martinez, with those 2 together. So we've had Magaluf, now we got Martinez. So he was called the Butcher of Amsterdam. So because he's Argentinian, we're going to call him El Castanero de Manchester, the Butcher of Manchester. Look, we're all watching football all our lives. Charlie, you used to play at a very high level. Centre back, it's all about partnerships. Okay, the English media would have us believe that for the last couple of seasons, all Harry Maguire needed, quote unquote, was a partner. Well, he's had Lindelof, made much difference. He's had Varane, World Cup winner, Rolls Royce Varane, made no difference. Today, he's had Martinez, and we still see the same problems: slow, can't turn, lacks pace. Now, Maguire is decent at playing the ball from the back when he's got space. He's okay at playing a 30-yard pass, switch and play. There are his strengths. He's decent at clearing from a header, but put Maguire up for a corner or free kick, it's like he's heading a helium balloon.
He's non-existent. It's crazy, right?
Precisely,
In
Charlie.
a corner situation.
At all levels of football, your centre-back partnership is crucial, I feel, to the functioning of your entire team. So, if all this partnership hasn't worked, the one key conduit in those partnerships is Harry Maguire. So surely then, logic would dictate that Harry is the problem, for me.
Yeah, I think, I mean, in my opinion, I still, and again, I don't know if this is me being, as you say, Jordan Beth 2.0, but I still do think that I'm almost like blindly positive in some aspects, and think that, you know, Maguire can be a good player, but the more and more I actually see of him, the more disheartened I get. And loads of people, you know, kind of back him off of the England performances, and it's like, okay, well, it's not difficult. Like, I could probably play centre half when you've got another 4 other defenders, and then Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice sitting in front of you. Like it's a lot harder to be made to, you know, be found out. And I think there was a quote, he came out, Maguire, after the game, and he said that, you know, the partnership with Martinez will get better. You know, they haven't played together much. And I mean, there's countless other centre-halves that Ruben Diaz, I'm sure when he came in and was partnered with whoever it was at the time, Laporte or whoever, them two wouldn't have looked disjointed. You know, it wouldn't. There's a, in my opinion, there's probably a, and it's becoming more and more clearer that there's a clear, you know, he's becoming, or is the issue, no matter who you kind of partner him with, whether it's Varane, Lindelof, Martinez. He's the clear, you know, he makes them look a lot worse than they are. And it'll be interesting to see kind of what Ten Hag does with the centre half position, Jordan, whether he goes out and buys someone new. I'm not sure what you think on that, but, or, you know, you've got even I'm not sure what's happening with the Bailly situation, but you know,
buy someone new at centre back, do you say?
Yeah.
No, I can't just bring another centre back in. I think we're not. I get what you're saying about, you know, holding on to the hope that Maguire comes good. I've been and I felt the same thing, but I think that we're never gonna see any better from Maguire without taking that captaincy off him. I honestly think the pressure of him being captain adds 20% of the problems to Maguire's performances. I think his limitations are his limitations. He's not quick. He does turn like he's in quicksand. He's got no awareness. But I ultimately think that taking that pressure off of him with the armband, and the fact that that means he has to start every single game rather than him having to fight for his position, I don't think we're going to see the better out of him. People still hold hope and think back to the England performances. Same with Shaw and the whole Roberto Carlos. I was there screaming, you know, that's my left back. These players haven't played well for a long time. And how long do you hold on to, you know, past performances and wait for them to come good again? I think decisions need to be made about these players. I thought Martinez played well. I'd like to see him alongside of Varane. I also can see from the way he did pick the ball up and bring it out of defence why they say he could play as a CDM. That isn't something I would be against. I think you've got a defending out Bailly on the bench, which is one of our best defenders. I like Jay always says, play him until he breaks. I think we're looking at the money that we're being offered for him, and I actually think he's worth more to us across the season by keeping him and playing him when he's fit than selling him for 6-7 million to Roma, and Mourinho gets the best out of him.
I remember actually I think it was a performance quite early on in his Man United career against Leicester, and him having a really good battle with Jamie Vardy. And I remember watching it and thinking, like, this guy's a proper old school centre half. You know, he's shown in pre-season, right, that he has got the technical ability. That he got 2 assists back to back games, right? Like he looked really good, and he wasn't. I don't think he was even starting, right? Like he was coming on in the second half and doing this. So I feel like there's multiple questions to kind of be had with the centre back position. But as I can see, I've got written down in my notes, and a lot of people are alluding to in the comments. But we do have a 41 months member from Seymour who said, it's not just about the captaincy with Maguire. I don't think he could make it on a Sunday league squad. He's absolutely useless. Yeah, I think we could talk again for hours on Maguire, but I do want to actually allude to De Gea's performance and what you guys thought on that as a kind of last topic. Ultimately, I thought under pressure with his feet, I felt like he got found out. You know, he kicked the ball out of play at one point, and he doesn't. I'm not saying he can't do it. I just don't think he's used to doing it yet. And I think we'll very quickly find out whether he can in the next couple of games. You know, when you can't against the likes of Liverpool who do that high press and put pressure on you. But could he have done better for the second goal? Obviously, it was a bit of a crisp packet wrist, in my opinion. I'm not sure what you think, Jay, on that one.
Yeah, look, I'm a massive fan of David De Gea, and I've backed him to the hilt. I like that phrase you used there, a crisp packet save for second goal. Yeah, he definitely should have been better for second goal, definitely. But over the course of the season, David De Gea will win us more points than what, quote unquote, he cost us. Now, I'm not saying he cost the points, but he should have done better for the second goal. No question about it. But of course, season, he's worth at least 10 points worth. I do believe. I firmly believe that. In regard to his distribution, but he's never really had to do it. So time will tell over the course of the season. What do you improve? You know what's going to happen. The English media will be once Dean Henderson has a couple of half decent games for Forest, even though he was crap yesterday, because we all saw that. The English media then will be jumping back on the Henderson bandwagon to get him back into the club. So David, for me, he's still my number one today. 6 out of 10, but I still have total confidence in him.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on David De Gea's performance, Jordan?
Yeah, I think we know what his limitations are. We know he's not great with his feet, but like Jay said, ultimately over the course of the season, he's he's worth his weight in gold. I think eventually there will be a decision that Ten Hag will have to make about him if he wants to progress the team. But right now, the manager has to pick his battles, and goalkeeper isn't one of them.
I think you've actually summed it up pretty well. I think there's almost too many points to kind of pick up on, right? Like, there's so many areas that the press, the media can almost attack him from, right? The midfield area, not starting Ronaldo, not having he was better when we were better when he came on, and now like the goalkeeper situation. There's almost too many areas, and I think you're summed it up perfectly in saying that he needs to pick the right battles. But no, I appreciate. I think we're gonna wrap the show up there on this last super chat we got coming in. What do you guys think about Van der Beek, a future just off the bench? And that's actually interesting because obviously he's worked with Ten Hag. So again, Jordan, what's your thoughts on what you think Van der Beek can bring? Obviously, he didn't get many minutes today, but
he didn't get many minutes today. But what he did do was give and show a lot more than what our current midfielders were doing. So he's always available, and that's what I like about him. He's always an option, and he's always trying to interlink play and progress that ball from midfield into attack. I actually have a different opinion on him, and I think he might just not have the frame or size for the Premier League. I just don't think he's strong enough to stand up with some of these other midfielders in the league. But ultimately, I think he needs a run of games. And then it's sink or swim, isn't it? He's playing for a manager that knows him and he understands the manager's philosophy. And ultimately, if there was a player that you look at and would be trusted, it would be Van der Beek. For some reason, he doesn't seem to be fancied.
I think like there's almost now no hiding for him. I think because he's worked with him before, right, Jay? He's got no excuse. We'll quickly find out whether he's capable of playing in the Premier League and for a Ten Hag system, right?
Yeah, Charlie, you're spot on. Donny Van der Beek has no excuse this season. We as a fan channel in the last 2 seasons, we were calling for him to play constantly every week. Surely Solskjaer can bring in Donny to break up that Mac-Fred axis and play Donny. Didn't happen. Donny didn't exactly put up trees at Everton, let's be fair, he didn't. So if he's not going to make it at United on Ten Hag, he's never going to make it. I reckon Donny Van Beek this is his last chance at the club, and come May, if he hasn't done it consistently, I think he'll be moved on. But to Jordan's point, you've got to give him 10 games and then judge him after that.
Yeah. I think we'll end it on that one, guys. I appreciate you guys and obviously everyone who was in the chat for joining us. Want to get some last final thoughts. I want to get one word on what you two guys thought of today's game. Jordan, we'll start with you.
One word?
Yeah.
Draining.
And Jay?
Oh my God.
There's too many words, right?
Andrade said to me before we went on, Jay, keep it clean. So that rules out so many words. Depressing.
Yeah. I don't think my word can. What time is it now? Can be aired at 5:30 on a Sunday afternoon. So I appreciate everyone for watching. Leave a like, subscribe to United Stand, share around, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.